Joining me live is Alan Pollock. So good to have you here, Alan. Love the fact that you are able to dial in. It's good to have someone to talk to when you're doing a podcast, to have someone else to bounce some ideas. Thanks for the kind words you said about Les Parker. But let's get in today to the weekly tech update. What you got?
Oh boy, it's good to be here. Happy New Year to everybody. If I haven't talked to you, even though we're a couple weeks in, here's what's interesting, David. I've got a startup that I'm a partner and investor in, and it's actually not in mortgage, it's in healthcare.
Oh,
And I spent a week in Houston, Texas, and had all kinds of meetings with different partners and different folks that'll be involved in the business. And what's interesting is it's not very different than the mortgage industry. The data security, the technology, the artificial intelligence, it's like being in another dimension. So it's like the same but different. There's a high regulation in some areas, low regulation in other areas. I learned what goes into underwriting. I learned how plans that you get as a company or as an individual get worked out based on data factors. And folks like Milliman, for example, that are heavy in mortgage are also heavy in healthcare. And so the industries are just so similar. So I thought that was very interesting. So for any of
yeah.
you that are in healthcare or have ever been, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I'll bring some more updates, David, on what I'm doing. I think some folks will be interested. There's definitely some connection to the mortgage industry, but let's talk mortgage industry. And at
Let's
the
talk
beginning of every
mortgage.
yep, in the beginning of every podcast, I have a joke or something interesting or funny. So I'm going to start you with an interesting statement that I saw online, David. You ready? I have two of
Yes.
them. The first one, if someone gave you a room of everything you ever lost, what would be the first thing you'd look for?
Great question. What would I
Yep.
look for if I had a room of everything I had lost? Yeah, it's something electronic, I'm sure, because I'm so hooked on electronics.
Okay. I think mine would be the bag of money I buried somewhere. I don't know where I put it.
Yeah. So
So
you're a bit of a
the
leprechaun. You buried some money. All right.
So the next one, you ready, David? This one hits hard. Let's gear it towards mortgage. This is for all of the people, right? The CEOs, the SVPs, et cetera, that hired tech people. Let's focus this on tech and thought they were going to be somewhere, right? You ready? Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. How do you like that one?
Oh, that's a great statement. Unspoken
Oh,
expectations are pre
premeditated resentments.
resentments. Wow.
So you
That's
can't just
interesting. That's
hire,
good.
right?
Yeah.
You have to hire, train, culture,
And then be
you
curious about what their
support.
expectations are. What that speaks to is were they curious enough to even look into what that person's personal goals and expectations were? That's
That's
really
right.
good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk vendors. And I know everybody reads the Rob Chrisman report. God, he has such good content and funny jokes. I
Right.
stole this, or I borrowed this, we should say, right out of his report. And I've always liked this company. It's called OptiFunder, OPTI Funder. They're stating they're the only systematically decision warehouse funding platform where they manage allocations, they automate the complicated process. Just stated in 23, they successfully automated 400,000 processes from funding through loan sale for their clients. And they're saying about 40% of top IMBs use their platform. That's a cool technology. That's something that solves problems, that saves time. It helps you allocate distribution across different warehouse lenders and the speed to close and the speed to cash, right? That's a very big deal. So if you're not using OptiFunder, check it out. I thought it was a great item that
Yeah.
Rob had in there. David, the CES show, the Consumer Electronics Show, I talked a little bit
Yes.
about it on my pre-recorded version last week, but let me tell you, now that it's over, everything from smart mirrors to this one's for the folks that listen to our program. It's a Belkin auto tracking phone stand. So you put your phone on it, and if you move and swivel around your chair, like your office there, David, you've got screens and you can move
Right.
left and right. By the way, we call that swivel chair integration in the non-integrated world. It'll follow you. It'll auto track you, which is cool. So check that out. There's a GE Smart indoor smoker. So if you like smoking, you want to do it electronically
It's
and
indoor.
inside, you can
Okay.
smoke in your house. JBL has a wireless mic for all of you podcasters out there. Hyundai has an air taxi, a big deal in healthcare. There's a brand new continuous glucose monitor that's called a CGM. You've seen people, they've got that little device on their arm or on their side. It's constantly tracking what you eat and the content of sugar. I've used them before, David. They're fantastic. But more and more in healthcare, There's a device that you can drag on your forehead and your chest, and it can identify your temperature. It can look in your mouth, like an endoscopy with the doctor sticks in your throat. I forgot the name of what that was. But anyways, all kinds of cool tech coming out in the healthcare side. And so that's interesting. And then there is a case. If you remember, David, when phones came out and they weren't the flip, but they got a little bit bigger and they had the keyboard, the little tiny letters, the full keyboard. QWERTY. It's called the Clicks case, and you can snap it on your iPhone. It makes it just a touch longer, and there's a full keyboard on the bottom, which is cool for those of you that want to go thumbing. Let's call it thumbing. So anyways, the CES had there was a lot of smart homes. So in real estate, homes, people are investing more in their countertops and the smart appliances, in the lighting. There's a countertop, David, a quartz countertop that has charging built into it. So you put your phone on top of it in a certain area and your phone will charge right through the countertop. All kinds of cool stuff. So by the way, I think it's open to the public if you buy tickets ahead of time. So if any of you are interested in being there next year, it's in Las Vegas. You definitely could skip one mortgage conference and head out and check out some cool stuff. Let's talk about FICO scores. So Cross Country Mortgage has become an early adopter of FICO Score 10T. And they're saying it's the most predictive score. Anyways, they're doing it and they're supporting all of their non-conforming loans. So check that out. Very interesting. We're going to continue to see a change in FICO scores and how our industry uses them. Remember, David, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how the price of a soft pull single score is going up and close to almost the price of a full tri-merge. So our industry is so far behind on the FICO score models.
Yes.
Let's just charge more and let's give them a new model. So I'm not a fan of what's going on there, but one of those things we just have to deal with. Just like the result of many of the football games. I know we have a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans that listen to our podcast. And man, this is the season of head coaches getting fired.
Bill Belichick is
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. AI tools. We bring up a cool tool every week. David, Fireflies. I think you may use it. I know others. I've used it. Man, this thing is so cool. Even if you're not going to have a meeting, just set up a GoToMeeting so you can have Fireflies turned on. A Zoom, a Google Meet. Anyways, it records everything. But the best part is it summarizes the content. It's searchable. So if you want to just start tracking and not writing things down, even if they're your one-on-ones with your staff or their team meetings, just turn the thing on. Fireflies is awesome. There's a bunch of them out there similar.
Yeah, we ended up going, we dropped Fireflies because of the way their licensing was. It cut, you invite a member, it says, invite one of your team members. They failed to disclose that it's going to charge you immediately another big chunk of money. And our annual fee started jumping up dramatically. I go, how did this happen? No way. So I wouldn't say it's deceptive, but I would definitely say that it was not transparent. So we moved over to Avumo. And I got to tell you, that is as strong as Fireflies, but even stronger. I think the point of it is there's going to be a lot of leapfrogging in this space of when you're having a technology listen to your calls, summarize it, bring you notes, all to bring you the to-do items. We're going to see a lot of continued growth in this area. And it's something that I think everybody should be using. The thing that I just got that I'm so happy with is the Plaud, Plaud. It goes on the back of your phone and you turn a switch on and I can record the conversation. Of course, I'll tell everyone, hey, do you mind if I record this? Because I can't take notes because I'm driving or I'm out and about. And then it transcribes it just like Fireflies or Otter or Avumo. It is Plaud, Plaud. Check it out. As thin as about 2 or 3 credit cards stacked on top of each other, about the same size. It, through the magnetic, it just attaches to the back of your phone. You hit a switch and it works. It's instant.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it goes into an AI app that does the same thing as Fireflies and the others. And that doesn't do it quite as elegantly as Avumo does or as Fireflies, but really does an amazing job summarizing, creating a text of the whole discussion. And then the nice part is you can pull notes out of that. How many times are we out and about, Alan? You travel a lot. And how many times are we out and about and wished, gosh, I don't have a piece of paper to write down all the notes for this conversation, but so you scramble to remember it all. And I don't know about you, at age 73, my memory isn't quite, the recall isn't quite as sharp as I'd like it to be. This has solved that problem. So check out Plaud.
Absolutely.
Plaud. Really happy with it.
Very cool. Thank you, David. So let me ask you a question. We can talk about what I left off last week, which is when looking to DWTUT, decide what to do with technology, where to use technology, or we can talk about an article that was inside of Housing Wire about multiple tech leaders and their thoughts about AI and cybersecurity and what's next. Like,
I love looking at what's next, what looking
all
forward,
right, let's get
because
there.
there's so much. I'm really so impressed, Alan, with Angel AI and what his vision is. It's such a significant game changer. But I'm wanting to look at who else is out there. But there's more things happening than we have seen in a long time coming to
Absolutely.
market.
All right, let's do this, David. Let's cut it in half. We'll do some today and we'll follow up on some of it next Monday.
Perfect. Perfect.
And yep, here we go. So this is called What Tech Leaders Think About AI, Cybersecurity, and What's Next. And don't forget, I have an interview with a cybersecurity person coming up very shortly
Well,
that
good.
will get
That you're going to
played.
share on our
Um,
podcast. Good.
Absolutely. All right. So this article interviewed 17 tech executives since the Housing Stack newsletter was launched in September. Let's name a couple of them. And if I botch any names, I apologize ahead of time to you. So Adam Carmel, Poly's CEO, he said, when I was in lending, I think I always overestimated the impact of technology or software, a switch in technology would have in our business in the first 6 months or a year. But then he's always underestimating the positive impact and ROI tech would have over a 2, 3, or 4 year period. So ultimately, Adam is just saying that he loves how technology shows itself into the industry and then how over a few short years it makes such a large impact. Let's talk about Rich Wydell from Princeton Mortgage. He sees some owners working groups and somebody will bring up a tech and either they'll have a great success that they're struggling with or they'll have a great success that they're struggling with. So either or they are each other's compadres. Summarizing his content here, he said that you can see the same technology deployed in different cultures with different processes and how it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work. So you have to ask, are we utilizing the technology to its fullest capacity? And is it a tech problem, a people problem, a process, or some combination? Rich Wydell, what a fantastic comment. Holy crap. That's exactly what we talk about, right? Get into a group. You're not talking contract and price, you're talking ROI, you're talking how's your team using it? How do you become more efficient? How do you help home buyers get in homes? So, Rich, that was a fantastic comment. Let's move down, David. Tim Bowler, the ICE Mortgage Technology president, he says, as a technology provider, we want to find a better way to show the ability to repay. So the ultimate investor in that mortgage or the insurer feels comfortable with it or without having to retain massive amounts of personal information on multi-decade basis. So what he's saying is that without putting information at risk, AI can help get through tons and tons of content and information to make us all smarter on a dime. Let's go one or two more, David. This is Jimmy Kelly from Lone Wolf Technologies, president and CEO. He said, I think there's still a kind of old school mentality. It's face to face, belly to belly style business. There are a lot of agents today that still prefer having their customers sign contracts manually. And he's right, with a physical signature. And there are some states or even some geographies within states that still mandate it. But it's weird because, in our view, that's a thing of the past. Digital signature in electronic form is more secure, much more faster, and more efficient. So great comment from Jimmy. There's definitely people that still have that old school mentality. By the way, there's buyers of homes, homeowners, borrowers that still want to talk to somebody. I think the next generation clearly is digital and mobile first, but it doesn't mean that they're not confused when that transaction comes. So clearly, face to face is still going to be probably the biggest threat or slowdown, if there could be, to moving to fully digital on the closing side. And then, David, this one was great. This is John Ashley at PRMG. He's the CIO. He says privacy is a huge area. In Europe, with GDPR, they're pretty far ahead of us, but our government is catching up really fast. The biggest thing is the web and state of regulations. Companies that learn to navigate the privacy landscape are going to have a really strong competitive advantage, but it's not an easy landscape to navigate. We wrangle with it every week. What he means is you can go use a whole bunch of different AI models online, but you're putting your data, information, your borrower's data automatically in a cloud, and it's not your cloud. So when you want to leverage an AI
Interesting.
model, you have to consider your own AWS or Microsoft Azure space or your own servers. Or if you look at PCI compliant technology and HIPAA, very secure. You can put servers in those type of compliant areas with all the different systems around it. Anyways, that is something, David, we're going to see in our industry for a while. Security is a big issue. And what is AI crunching? And by the way, the other thing is you put something in AI, it just spits something out. It has no empathy. It needs the rails. It needs, so it can't discriminate. It needs all of those different things. So anyways, let's end on those today. There's a lot of great other comments in here. Some focus on leveraging. We'll talk about it next week. Happy MLK Day to everybody with a major amount of respect. And thank you for listening to the technology part of our podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for joining in live. It's always good when we have live people here. It's so much fun.